Shonen is a demographic of Japanese comics that has taken the world by storm, especially in recent years. Ongoing manga series like Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece trend on social media platforms each and every week when new chapters release. Anime films like the first Slam Dunk and Demon Slayer Mugen Train broke records at the box office when they released internationally. Most recently, the Netflix live-action adaptations of One Piece and Yu Yu Hakusho have made national headlines as new fans were introduced to shonen stories. It is no secret that shonen is the most popular demographic of anime and manga. Even if you aren't a fan, I'm sure you have heard of at least one of these influential titles like Dragon Ball, Bleach, Naruto, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Chainsaw Man, My Hero Academia, Hunter x Hunter, Black Clover, or Fullmetal Alchemist. With that being said, there are a few stereotypes and tropes in shonen manga and anime that are a bit outdated. In today's video, we will talk about some of those tropes so you know what to avoid in your own shonen comics, manga, and webtoons. But first, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. The first 500 people to use the link in my pinned comment will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Did you know Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of online classes and members? What I love about Skillshare is it's an on-demand platform with stackable lessons, meaning members can learn at their own pace, no matter their skill level. Right now, I recommend the learning path, Your Creative Business. Build it, brand it, launch it. This 7-hour course will teach you how to brainstorm your perfect business, find an audience, and build a smart online presence. Skillshare has everything you need to make 2024 the year your side hustle comes to life. Whether you want to build a subscriber base for your email newsletter, learn how to be more productive, or open your first Etsy shop, Skillshare can help you get there. There are even Skillshare exclusive courses centered around creating comics and manga. Don't miss this opportunity to invest in yourself. Click the link in my pinned comment to begin your first month of Skillshare. Now, let's get back to the video. The first outdated shonen manga trope that I want to talk about is the underdog protagonist. In short, an underdog is an unlikely hero or a character who isn't expected to do anything great. We've seen them everywhere. Think of Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia. He begins the story as a powerless human who dreams of becoming a superhero one day. Think of Naruto Uzumaki, a kid who wants to become the #1 ninja despite not being the smartest, strongest, or most talented in his class. Think of Kenichi from The World's Strongest Disciple. He has no natural talent, but through hard work he is able to achieve the impossible. While it is satisfying to see a character overcome seemingly unbeatable odds, it is no longer a surprise since it has been done so many times before. Put simply, it loses its appeal. It is much rarer to see more dominant protagonists in shonen manga, so when they appear, it feels like a breath of fresh air. Think of characters like Ichiko Kurosaki from Bleach, Light Yagami from Death Note, and Tatsumi Oga from Beelzebub. These characters are the opposite of underdogs. They are top dogs who are expected to win. Obviously, they will endure challenges and tribulations like any other protagonist, but the way they achieve their goals will be entirely different. Imagine if Katsuki Bakugo was the protagonist in My Hero Academia, if Roronoa Zoro was the protagonist in One Piece, and if Kageyama Tobio was the protagonist in Haikyuu. All three of these stories would feel entirely different. This subtle shift could be just what you need to make your shonen story stand out. Instead of a spiky-haired, happy-go-lucky character who screams they want to be the best, you'll have created a character that feels different when compared to the others. Coming in at number 2, I want to talk about villain characters who eventually become good guys after a motivational speech, the power of friendship, or some other driving force like redemption or atonement. We have seen this trope so many times. Think of Vegeta, Android 18, and Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z. And also think of Gaara, Orochimaru, and Itachi from Naruto. In my personal opinion, I believe this character trope is overdone right now. Some fans would argue that these bad guys becoming good guys doesn't make much sense in the context of the story. Take Vegeta for example. He has murdered countless innocent people. The same could be said about a character like Orochimaru. He kidnapped, experimented, and murdered countless ninja. He even invaded the Hidden Leaf Village and killed the 3rd Hokage. For this trope to work well, I think your villain character needs to have some sort of redemption arc to correct as many wrongs as possible. The best example I can think of is a character like Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Prince Zuko begins the story as a banished prince whose only goal was to capture the Avatar so he can return home. He does not care who he needs to hurt or betray in the process. After being influenced by Aang and his uncle, Prince Zuko realizes the errors of his ways and works towards making amends to those he hurt. Jumping in at number 3, I want to talk about the Damsel in Distress archetype. Put simply, a damsel in distress is a woman who finds herself in trouble. In traditional fairy tales, the damsel in distress would need to be rescued by a strong man like a prince. Think of classic Disney movies like The Little Mermaid, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty. All 3 of these princesses required a man to save them. More recently, this trope can also be seen in films like Shrek and video games like Super Mario Bros., Rukia Kuchiki and Orihime Inoue from Bleach, and Kagome from Inuyasha. All of these women characters find themselves held hostage or kidnapped, making them dependent on the hero of the story to rescue them. Of course, the majority of shonen protagonists are young men, so this situation is a textbook example of a damsel in distress. In more recent years, women characters have begun to take on a more active role. In shonen manga like The Promised Neverland, Akane Banashi, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, women characters take center stage as fierce protagonists. Of course, you don't always need to make your female characters badass or super muscular to be well written, just try to make them more active. As long as they don't feel like an afterthought to your reader, you should be on the right path. At number 4, we have flashback scenes that take place during climactic moments. I know you know what I am talking about. Think back to your favorite fight scene in Naruto. Just as you find yourself at the edge of your seat, the battle is interrupted by an emotional flashback. The purpose of these flashbacks is to remind you why this battle matters so much and what stakes are on the line. But why are they placed in the middle of climactic moments? My Hero Academia is another shonen manga that often uses this trope during epic fight scenes. There has to be a way to achieve the same character development without being so disruptive to the cool fights. While this may not be as noticeable in the manga, because manga is designed to be read, with anime, having a flashback scene inserted is a lot more jarring for the viewer. In my personal opinion, I wish shonen stories found a way to place these emotional flashbacks before or after the fight scene so they aren't as disruptive. And I know I'm not alone, because I know you have seen those playlists on YouTube featuring fight scenes without any interruptions. The last trope that I want to leave behind in 2023 is lazy power scaling. Power scaling is a method of determining a character's power through comparing them to other characters in the story. In simple terms, if character A can do something like destroy a city, and character B can't do that, then character A must be stronger than character B. Normally, you would want all of your characters to grow in strength at the same time. However, this is not often the case. The manga series Dragon Ball by Akira Toriyama is notoriously known for its poor power scaling. For example, in the beginning, Goku is about evenly matched with characters like Yamcha and Yajirobe. During the early arcs, these characters mostly engaged in martial arts and sword fighting. As the series went on and superpowers were introduced, things became a lot more complicated. Now you have old men blowing up the moon with lasers coming out of their hands, aliens with multiple form changes, and multiple characters fusing together. In the most recent chapters, almost nobody can compete with Goku and Vegeta besides the current antagonist. This huge gap in power scaling is what is known as a power creep. While fans may love to see their favorite two characters get a new transformation and learn new abilities, the entire supporting cast is rendered obsolete because they are unable to keep up. Other shonen manga series like the Seven Deadly Sins, Fairy Tail, and Tokyo Ghoul have also received criticism from fans for poor power scaling. To avoid falling into this common pitfall, consider all of your characters when you are developing the power system in your story. If each of your story arcs features a bigger and badder villain appearing in your story, find a way to make sure your supporting cast can keep up with your main characters. Remember, these tropes are common in shonen manga and anime for a reason. They are popular and fans love them. They have worked in the past, so expect them to appear in newer shonen manga in the future too. Just because your story has a few of these tropes doesn't make them inherently bad or poorly written. It all comes down to execution. Remember, these are just my opinions at the end of the day, and it is totally fine if you disagree with me or think differently about these shonen tropes. Hopefully you were able to get some value out of this video. If you did, please leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below telling us about your least favorite trope in shonen manga and anime. I will do my best to respond to them all. You can further support me by following me on all of my social media accounts or purchasing one of my Manga Maker panel templates. Links to all of that can be found down in the description box below. Remember to claim your 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can increase your comic making abilities. As always, keep creating everyone. I will see you all in the next one.